I am sure you've heard the word composition many, many times in the past. It's really kind of like a buzzword in the film and photography industry, but what does it really mean? I am here to break that down for you today and give you some guidelines to help improve your composition into the future. Composition is simply the placement or arrangement of elements in a frame. So, if you're looking at a scene that you're about to shoot, pause for a few seconds and give it some thought. What are my viewers going to see? How are these elements arranged? Do I like how they're arranged, and is it pleasing to the eye? What is the mise-en-scene? What a lot of people don't realize is that they have a lot of control over the composition. It's up to you, the person behind the camera, to decide what you want the viewer to look at. Today, I'm going to cover 5 rules, but honestly, if this video piques your interest, you should search rules of composition and you'll get a ton more info on the interwebs. First, let's talk dominance. As the person behind the camera, you need to know a little secret. People are lazy. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just when someone's watching your video or looking at a picture, they don't want to be tasked with figuring out what it is they're looking at. They want you to make it very clear to them what they see. Don't make them work more than they have to. So what I mean by dominance simply is who or what is the dominant subject. So take a look at this photograph.
Look at this photograph.
What do you think is the dominant subject here? What about now? It's shifted simply by how we framed it. Both shots are well composed, but with a shift of framing, we have different subjects. So again, before you shoot, take a moment to decide what your dominant subject should be. This leads right into our next rule, number 2, filling the frame. Once you've pinpointed your dominant subject, make it dominant by filling the frame with it. Here we've got a shot that's pretty well composed. It's obvious what's going on, but the dominant subject is not very dominant. There's all this stuff going on in the background, all of which is distracting me from the subject, or what the subject should be. I need a lot of time to look at it and think about what's going on. This photo doesn't make it easy for me as a viewer. On the other hand, this photo does. I know exactly what the subject is. It's filled the frame nicely, and as an added bonus, notice a bunch of the elements in the image are making these leading lines towards the subject. Here's a few other good examples. Okay, but what about something video specific? Here's a shot of filling your frame with your dominant subject by moving towards them. Okay, so pick your dominant subject, fill the frame with them. Now let's move on to rule number 3, the rule of thirds. Okay, there's already an entire video about this, please watch that. But as a quick reminder, cut your frame into 9 equal boxes by drawing 4 lines, put points of interest on the lines or at the intersection of them, and when filming people, keep their face in that top third. But again, watch the whole video on framing to dig a little deeper into this important rule of composition. Rule number 4, creating depth. Not a must for every video. I mean, if you're shooting in a small space on a plain white background, it's just a talking head, then don't worry about it. But if you do have enough space to pull a subject away from the background, that can definitely create depth. In this shot of Heather, the background extends far behind her. She's close to the camera, and all of that creates depth, which gives the video a nice professional look. But you can also consider foreground elements in the right situation to add even more layers. This rule can be applied if you're out shooting in nature too. So like, here's a picture of a little lake at Wash Park. It looks a little bit flat as is, but if I back up and add foreground with the trees and the shore, now the picture has depth. Now it's more interesting to look at. Here we're looking at the sand dunes, a decent picture, but let's put a person in the foreground. Again, we have depth, and now the picture feels more alive. The last rule of composition we'll go over today is focus. This is a really important one. No one wants to strain their eyes watching a blurry video. You want your dominant subject to be in focus. In this photo, these badges are in focus and the girls are out of focus. This tells me the badges are the dominant subject. In this photo, the woman is in focus and the camera in the foreground is out of focus. So she's the subject. It's also created some cool depth here by placing the camera in the foreground. It looks really nice. When you're filming people, you really want to make sure their eyes are in focus. Out of focus eyes can ruin a shot. Like this one, Heather's eyes and her whole face are out of focus. It really ruins the video because she's clearly the dominant subject, but what we're seeing clearest is actually the paintings in the background. Okay, that's much better. Remember, keep the eyes in focus. They are the window into people's souls, after all. Anyway, that's my 5 big rules of composition. Always keep this in mind when you're filming. They can easily take your video from amateur to pretty professional looking. Or vice versa if you're not careful. That's all I got for you this time. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.